Hey gang, let's tackle Blessed Be Your Name, but this time we're going to start with level 2. So this is assuming, my suggestion is if you're going to tackle level 2, you got to be comfortable with a few things. For starters, you got to be able to change chords fairly quickly. That shouldn't really be a struggle anymore. If you're still working on getting good sounding chords, I wouldn't tackle level 2. I would be working on, getting great sounding chords first. That means that there's no string buzz, all the notes are coming out very clearly, and you're also not getting any muted strings. It's very, very important. The next thing I would consider if you're going to go into level 2 is consider the type of pick you're using. Generally, I carry 3 different types of pick thicknesses that I typically carry. I'll use a green. Green is a thick pick. Orange is a less thick. It's kind of in a medium, what I call my medium picks. And red is my thin picks. Now, these are all, the colors are semi-arbitrary. The thing that's important is that when you're referencing Dunlop, these all have specific thicknesses if they're written there. So these are worn out, but I believe the green is at 0.88 millimeters. The orange is 0.60 millimeters. And the red is 0.5 millimeters. And the reason why this is important and relevant is that the thickness of the pick allows it to either gloss and glide very quickly over the strings without any difficulty, or it's going to grip it a little bit more. So in general, if you want to be able to play things more loudly, having a thick pick lets you dig into the strings more easily than a thin pick. A thin pick, the heavier you push into it, the more it's going to bend the pick, and you could potentially break your pick. So you're kind of limited in terms of volume. So why would anybody want to consider different thick picks or thin picks or medium picks? Well, I find that they tend to respond differently depending on the type of playing that you're doing. So if you're doing a lot of finger picking, well, not finger picking, but picking individual strings, I find that thick picks tend to do well in projecting that volume. Thin picks tend to sound very clicky to me, comparatively to this thick pick. So that's just something to take into consideration. So for this level 2 version, since there's going to be more difficulty in strumming and learning more strum patterns, my suggestion is that you use a medium pick, which kind of is a happy medium for both worlds. Can both strum and both pick fairly well. Or use a thin pick. My suggestion, if you're starting out new, is try a thin pick. For new me, since I'm a little bit more experienced, I'm going to go with a medium, since I know how to play with the angle of my hand. All right, let's talk about things that you can do. Right now that we're going to be getting into level 2, the main difference is now we're going to be adding correct strum patterns for this song. This would be similar to a level that I would play for a Sunday. There are added things I would do on a typical Sunday, but that's for level 3. For right now, we're going to start with level 2. And another thing to consider is if you have sleeves, you may want to roll them up, especially if they've got buttons, because the buttons tend to hit the wood, create this tapping sound. All right, so let's talk about what we would do for our intro. In level 1, we just simply strum the chords and let them ring like this. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to start introducing downstrokes as 8th notes. So if this is your quarter note, 8th notes twice that speed. So in our case, all downstrokes as 8th notes at this tempo would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now to be able to strum this quickly, a lot of that movement is going to have to come from your wrist. If you're coming from your elbow like this, you're going to be limited in volume and your hand's going to stiffen up and it's going to be very tight and very difficult to play quickly. My suggestion is use a little bit of your elbow for some of that movement, but let the majority of the movement come from your wrist. So if you watch my hand here, there's like a flicking motion that's happening with my hand. Now, some people find this easy to do by holding all your fingers curled in like this. I find for me that adds a little bit of tension. I like to have my fingers out as I play. That's just my personal preference, but you can choose whichever way you like. The most important thing is make sure your pick is perpendicular to your thumb like this. Make sure it's at a 90-degree angle to where your thumb is. So if your thumb is pointing straight up, your pick is pointing exactly to the left. All right. One other important thing to note about is that when you're doing downstrokes, it's obnoxious to strum all the strings all the time. So in general, we're going to downstroke, and we're only going to strum 2, maybe 3 strings. So if I'm playing this intro, I'm going to strum just the 6th, 5th, and 4th string instead of all 6 strings. I'm going to go like this. Then for my D chord, because I can only use these bottom 4 strings here, I'm going to strum the 4th, 3rd, and maybe the 2nd string. Now for the E minor chord, because it uses all 6 strings, I'm going to strum the 6th, 5th, and 4th string. And then for our C chord, because the C chord uses only the bottom 5 strings, I'm only going to strum the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. And so that's going to be very important. So if I do this intro, I get 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on and so forth. What I did takes a lot of technical precision in your right hand. So if that's not something you're good at, a way that you can practice getting technical precision is just doing downstrokes on a single string. So my suggestion is, if you're doing a G chord, go for the 6th string only. Then when you switch to your D chord, do the 4th string only. When you're doing the E minor 7 chord or E minor, just do the 6th string only. And then when you do the C chord, just do the 5th string only. And so on and so forth. I'm going to play through that intro again, doing just that technique, so that way it gets pretty comfortable. Try it along with me. If you find that it's something that's difficult for you, just pause this and keep practicing that until that becomes really comfortable. It'll probably take a good half hour, maybe a few days of practice to get the hang of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th string for G, 4th string for D, 6th string for E, 5th for C, G on the 6th string, D on the 4, E minor on 6, then E, D, then C. That would be a good place to start. Once you've gotten the hang of that, then you can pretty easily do multiple strings. You'll notice that even though I'm doing multiple strings, I'm still only starting with the lowest possible string I can play. And that takes care of that. All right, that's gonna go. We're gonna do the exact same technique for verse 1, and for pre-chorus 1, we're gonna go ahead and strum all the strings. Every blessing you pour out, all. Of course, limited to the number of strings you can play per chord. By the time we get to chorus 1, we go back to that 8th note technique. We're going to discard the strum pattern that we learned in the first video and replace it with 8th notes instead. Blessed be the name of the Lord, and so on and so forth. So here's what we'll do differently for the chorus. Since we're still doing 8th notes as down strums, instead of limiting it to just the top, the 3 strings that we're going to strum, we're going to go through all the possible strings that we can possibly do for that chord. So in our case of G, I can strum all 6 strings. D, I can strum all 4. E minor 7, I can strum all 6. And the C2 chord, I can strum all 5. Oh, just 5, sorry. My general rule of thumb is I strum all the strings for the very first beat, and then the remaining beats I strum just a fewer set of strings. So if I did all 6 strings for the G chord, I might just strum the bottom 4 strings for the rest of that measure. So it gives a nice strong accent for the first one. Try that with me. Here's chorus 1. 1, 2. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Get a little softer as we get to the verse 2. Blessed be your so on and so forth. Verse 2, we do our eighth note strums as we've been doing before, but aim for just 2 or 3 strings at a time and bring down the volume. So that way you're not strumming nearly as loudly as you were doing for the chorus 1. We'll do that for the rest of verse 2. Pre-chorus 2, we'll do the same strum pattern we did for verse 2. We're just doing 8th notes downstrokes. But instead of going 2 to 3 strings, I'm going to open it up a little bit. I'm going to do maybe 2 to 4 strings. And I'm going to add a little bit more volume. So if I was going, blessed be your name, then I might bring it up a little bit for pre-chorus 2. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. I'm louder than I was for verse 2, but I'm not at full volume yet because I want to be able to reserve some of that for chorus 2 that follows. Chorus 2, same as chorus 1. We're going to go all the strings. And then I like to just make sure that all the strings are strummed for the first beat and then progressively fewer for the rest, and so on and so forth. So, bridge 1. We get to bridge 1. We strum once, let it ring. You give and take away. You give and take away, and so on and so forth. Bridge 2. We go back to our 8th notes. Bridge 2 is one giant long crescendo. So I'd like to generally take the whole bridge kind of soft and then build up as we get to the very last chord where it says name. So I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm going to keep the majority of my strums to 2 to 3 strings. I'm going to slowly add more pressure in my right hand to slowly build volume until we get to the end of this bridge. So that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And so on and so forth. You can hear that there's a very distinct crescendo as I get to the end of the bridge 2, all the way into chorus 3. All right, chorus 3. I'm going to swap out this pick so I more easily can strum. Chorus 3, full volume, same thing as chorus 1 and chorus 2. Blessed be the name of, so on and so forth, all the way through. Chorus 4, same exact thing. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name, so on and so forth. By the time we get to the very last chord of chorus 4, we hit that C chord and we let it, we hit the very first one at a loud volume, but then the rest of the measures for that C, I'm going to dramatically bring down the volume. So I'm going to reduce my strumming from 5 strings all the way down to 2 or 3. I'm going to get progressively softer. And on the recording, they just play 8 notes all the way into bridge 3. I personally like to hold beat 1 of the 4th measure. I like to go 1, 2, 3, 4, second, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, hold. You give and take. I do this because it makes it easy for the band that I'm playing with to know, oh, okay, now we're getting into our very ending portion. Pretty straightforward. Bridge 3. Bridge 3, we just strum single strokes for the whole thing. Give and take away. You give and take away. And so on and so forth. You can do that for the rest of bridge 3. All right, that takes care of that. Let's try the song as a level 2. Good luck. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Verse 1. Blessed be your name in the land that is plentiful, where streams of abundance flow. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name when I'm found in the desert place. Though I walk through the wilderness, blessed be your name. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be your name when the sun's shining down on me, when the world's all as it should be. Blessed be your name. Blessed be your name on the road marked with suffering, though there's pain in the offering. Blessed be your name. Bring up the volume just a little bit. Every blessing you pour out, I'll turn back to praise. When the darkness closes in, Lord, still I will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Give and take away. You give and take away. Shane sings high, man. To say, blessed be your name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your name. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Blessed be your glorious name. You give and take away. You give and take away. My heart will choose to say, blessed be your name. Awesome. Ooh, the fridge came on. All right, have a great time practicing. I wish you guys the best. I'm looking forward to level 3. We're gonna add a lot of really cool stuff, but work really hard at this one. It just takes a while for your hand to get used to all that motion. Keep at it until that feels second nature, and then try level 3. God bless.